The seven wonders of the world impressively show us what structural masterpieces man is capable of. In this way, gigantic monumental buildings were created in the most diverse places on Earth, which amaze their viewers today as they did then. Together with you, we'd like to take a closer look at the so-called new seven wonders of the world. What are the background stories of these impressive structures, and what secrets are still shrouding the buildings in question? Together with you, we search for answers. Before we get started, be sure to hit the like button and ring the notification bell for more videos. Also, stick around until the end to learn about one of the most unbelievable wonders of the world so far. The Great Wall. Home to one of the first civilizations in human history, China has produced some revolutionary achievements over time. Thus, the people of China are credited with inventing paper and gunpowder. Literally, the biggest milestone, however, was created during the Ming Dynasty, namely the gigantic Great Wall of China. Built and expanded at different times, the protective system has an incredible total length of 6,260 kilometers. The term "the One Great Wall of China" is actually misleading. In fact, the wall is made up of a system of several sections, some of which are not even connected to each other. With regard to fortifications, a completely wrong image was held in Europe for a long time. Up until the 19th century, Europeans believed that the defenses near Beijing were built at the behest of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huangdi. The forefather of the empire died in 210 BC, and according to our current knowledge, had nothing to do with the construction of the new wonder of the world. So, once it was clear that the famous wall is actually much younger than previously thought, all the old ramparts and walls in the north of the country began to be referred to as the Great Wall. However, we should always keep in mind that the individual complexes were built in very different epochs and never formed a coherent complex. This also applies to the Great Wall of China in the classic sense. According to this, the protective wall was built over a period of 100 years, with the construction methods sometimes differing significantly from one another. Finally, we want to clear up an old myth. It's said that the Great Wall of China can even be seen from space. The sobering truth, however, is that not a single astronaut has been able to see the structure with the naked eye. Chichen Itza. The stone heart of the ancient ruins of Chichen Itza is formed by the impressive Kukulkan Pyramid. Particularly noteworthy is the fact that the structure has exactly 365 steps in total, but whether this number can really be traced back to the days of the year has always been hotly debated. Particularly exciting, at least one older, much smaller building slumbers inside the pyramid. And in fact, it seems as if an earlier construction is also hidden in it, which, however, has not yet been able to be examined. In addition, the 1,547-hectare ruined site on Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula is adorned with many other monumental structures, with the surrounding areas being inhabited by the Maya upper class. There's no question that the city played an outstanding role between the 8th and 11th centuries, but how this super-regional influence developed in detail remains an unsolved mystery to this day. The fact that different architectural styles appeared side by side is particularly astonishing. Cristo Redentor. While most of the new seven wonders of the world can look back on centuries of history, Cristo Redentor, or Christ the Redeemer, in the south of Rio de Janeiro is significantly younger. The oversized savior has only been stretching out his arms over the city since 1931. At 30 meters high, the statue on Mount Corcovado is one of Brazil's most famous landmarks. You may have heard that there's a chapel in the base of the building, but did you also know that Cristo Redentor is hollow on the inside? In fact, all we find there is a cross-shaped reinforced concrete framework, a staircase, and an inspection passage. So that the Savior can be repaired if the worst comes to worst, it's possible for the workers to get to the outside of the structure through narrow hatches at the head and shoulder. The fact that Cristo Redentor is anything but glamorous under his shell is not a problem. Only maintenance personnel are allowed inside anyway. The Colosseum. If you were looking for bloodthirsty entertainment in ancient Rome, the mighty Colosseum was the place for you, and it was free. Every free citizen of Rome was allowed to walk into the Colosseum for free and sit in one of the 50,000 seats, although this is not entirely correct. In fact, the seating and standing areas followed a fixed division that was strictly based on the social rank of the spectators. Built between the years 72 and 80 AD, brutal gladiator fights and so-called animal hunts were carried out here. Different, preferably exotic animals competed against each other or against human warriors. In modern films, we sometimes see convicted criminals being executed in the Colosseum, but ancient sources do not confirm that this was actually the case. What is certain, however, is that the most famous and world's largest amphitheater has become a horrifying mass grave over time. Some experts suspect that up to 500,000 people and tens of millions of animals died here. However, since the gladiator fights were in fact far less fatal than is portrayed today, this high estimate is repeatedly questioned. Then, during the 5th and 6th centuries, the games would come to an end. A combination of an extreme population decline, severe earthquakes, and war damage meant that the magnificent building was no longer repaired. During the Middle Ages, the corridors of the Colosseum were then converted into living quarters and later even used as a quarry. This only changed when Pope Benedict XIV declared the amphitheater a holy place for martyrs. This was based on the assumption, which is dubious from today's perspective, that countless Christians were once executed in the Colosseum. Machu Picchu. Although the origins of the Inca city of Machu Picchu date back to the 15th century, its sophisticated construction is unmatched to this day. Originally, there were more than 200 stone buildings here, enthroned on terraces and connected by stairs. The majority of these terraces are still intact, along with the characteristic watercourses, although the ingenious canal connection is still fully functional to this day. What the exact background of the city building was all about is not exactly clear. A widespread thesis is that Machu Picchu was built to the behest of the Inca ruler Pachacuti Yupanqui, who was in power until 1471. The original name is not known either. It may have been Huyana Picchu or just Picchu. Researchers believe the facility was home to 1,000 people during its heyday. What meaning the city once had is just as uncertain. Possibly Machu Picchu functioned as a kind of royal retreat that was abandoned as a result of a civil war. Another theory is that the facility was still under construction when the Spanish invaded Peru. However, the research conducted so far shows that the city was already fully operational when the Europeans reached South America. Taj Mahal. Where the broken heart of a ruler meets architectural megalomania, one of the most imposing structures in human history emerges. After Mumtaz Mahal, the great love of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, died in 1631, the powerful ruler had the gigantic Taj Mahal built in her honor, which was probably completed in 1646. Contrary to popular belief, however, the 73-meter-high building is not entirely made of marble. Rather, it's made of fire bricks with a marble cladding. In addition, the oversized tomb in which Shah Jahan was later buried is accompanied by another persistent legend. In truth, a second Taj Mahal made of black marble was to be built here for the Mughal emperor. However, Shah Jahan was overthrown by his own son and had to spend the rest of his life as a prisoner. The fact that his grave disturbs the original symmetry of the mausoleum of his great love seems to support the thesis of a second building project that was planned but never implemented. And the white Taj Mahal is by no means in the center of the surrounding garden, as was actually usual for Persian tombs, but on the northern edge. What did not rise above the status of speculation for a long time received concrete fuel in the early 2000s. During excavation work, the floor plans of an octagonal building were found on the opposite side of the mausoleum. In terms of its shape and size, it actually resembled the white Taj Mahal. Petra. Former capital of the Nabatean Empire, Petra is now best known for one thing: its magnificent facades carved directly into the rock. Scientists are still speculating about how humans managed to pull off such an architectural feat more than 2,000 years ago. Let's take a look at what's probably the most famous building in the Rock City, the so-called Treasury of the Pharaoh. Contrary to the official name, however, this was by no means the treasury of a powerful king, but a burial place and place of worship. However, the Bedouins who once came across the 40-meter-high and 25-meter-wide rock facade suspected that sparkling treasures were slumbering in the large urn at the top, which also explains the corresponding bullet holes. What the treasure hunters did not suspect at the time, just like the entire building, the treasure house is made of solid stone, which is why its components cannot be broken open so easily. It's unclear who was really laid to rest here. A few years ago, 4 unknown graves containing the bones of 11 people were discovered directly in front of the mausoleum. Since further financing of the excavations could not be accomplished, part of the new discovery unfortunately had to be filled up again. It's clear to see that many years ago, ancient humans possessed a powerful set of architectural skills. It seems almost unbelievable that people who lived so long ago were able to build such captivating buildings or monuments that have survived multiple natural disasters, countless wars, and the common wear and tear of daily weather changes. In fact, more modern humans have built structures that didn't manage to last a fraction of that time. This truly goes to show that modern knowledge isn't always the best, and we can stand to learn a lot from our ancestors. Maybe in due time, we'll be able to uncover some of the technologies or techniques that were used to create some of these impressive structures and put them to use in modern times. But one thing is for certain, our ancestors truly knew how to impress. Alright folks, now it's your turn. Which of the new 7 wonders of the world captivated you the most? Would you also like a video about the 7 wonders of the ancient world? As always, let us know your thoughts, suggestions, and feedback on today's video in the comments. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to stay up to date from now on. Thank you for watching, have a good one, and see you next time.